If you aren't the cutest little itsy bitsy. Oh! Oh, I'm just crazy about you. You're the... I'll just love you to death, that's what I will. You're the... Ooh, look at those long hairs. My, oh my. And what a beautiful little wootsy-mootsy. You're my little precious, that's what you are. I love to snuggle. Let's snuggle. Oh, dear, oh, dear. I'll be right back.
The mask knows you're guilty. Guilty.
Is this what's troubling you? Oh, you poor little thing. It isn't alive. No, no. Little nutsy dopesy.
What up, cyberspace cadets, cyber fam, fanbots galore? It's Sunday. You know what that means. It's time for Ice Cream and the Ice Cream interviews with IRATE, PROSTATE, and today's guest. Before we get there, I want to say hey to some people in the in the chat, because we've got a lovely chat today. FTW Neil, of course, backing his brother up. Joshua Demir's always cool. Bullwinkle, groovy. Betty is irate as a girl. I don't know about that. Becca Furley, as she shuffles through Mississippi. You should play that song, My Head's in Mississippi by ZZ Top. Jam to that in a minute. You know. Hey, Debbie Thinks. Greetings. FTW Neil, I said your name already. You don't get another one. Ryan, well, of course, Ryan Walters. Justice LaHero. Okay, what's up? Mason Mulpus, Bishop. The Bishop. It's the Bishop. Nobody, Monty Python, anyone? All right, anyway. So, hey, everybody. If I didn't get to you, I'll come back, and do my thing. Anyway. So the reason I call this thing ice cream is really easy. Most people consider ice cream to be a treat. And to me, a treat is, is talking to somebody. I love good conversation, just hanging out and just kind of exploring topics with people, just, shooting the shit, as they say. It's a it's a Southern thing, man. We just hang around and talk all the time because we're jamming. Let's see. So today's guest is from a special group. Met him, I don't know, about a year and a half ago. Started hopping in streams, listening to these guys, and one he goes by many names, all right, but we know him. I know him as Ryan Walters, also known as Throne Trial. I was going to ask you about that. Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ready for some?
Throne Trial was a thing from high school. I guess I used for usernames and email addresses and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's basically from Gundam 00. There are 3 Gundam units called the Throne 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nodley Gundam uses the Throne, the trial system on them, and basically nullifies them completely. So that's where it comes from.
See, I totally thought it was a reference to the Game of Thrones Trial by Combat.
No, it's
right?
Conceptually, it sort of evolved over time.
Mhm.
Just because that's along the lines of how it's sort of evolved in my head. Is that basically putting the higher ups on trial and judging them. So
Cool. So it's a Gundam thing. Sweet.
Yep.
All right. So in chat, you know the drill. All right. If you've got questions, write them down as you think of them during this show, and right before we wrap, I'll consult you, chat, and get some questions from you. Okay. And I'm sure that some of you that are really tight with Ryan will have some special questions for him, I'm sure. So I don't see Johnny around, just saying, or Mr. Moo.
He was in there earlier.
Was he in here earlier?
Yeah.
Let me look. Is he dirty lurking again? There he is. There he is. I see him. All right.
Yep.
Dirty lurking as usual. All right. Just kidding, dude. You know I'm kidding. Anyway, all right. So here. All right. So I got some questions, and we always started the YouTube thing. Kind of got into a little bit of the first question, and then of course when we were done, we'll be back at YouTube and topically, as they say. So, all right, how long have you been around YouTube, and what was the main reason you decided to come through YouTube? To YouTube.
I mean, as a kid, I grew up with YouTube, listening to music mostly. Eventually, it got into like AMVs and funny pet videos and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, growing up and developing politically and just trying to sort of reach out and get different views, acquire more information, and sort of find myself in that realm. Went down several rabbit holes, and this is sort of where I've ended up.
Indeed. So, all right. So, how much of like when we see you, like on on like Johnny's show or Moo's show, how much of what you're delivering out there is the real you? Would you say?
That's a little difficult to say. I tend to compartmentalize a great deal of things, but I'm usually more laid back on Johnny and Moo's show. With Becca's show, it's always, I'm like, okay, I kind of have to be more on behaving a little more whenever I go on there. But yeah, definitely Johnny and Moo's, it's sort of let everything flow and just kind of go with it.
Cool. So, all right. This is what we. All right. So now we're like sliding into personal questions here. And
Yep.
I always like to start it with this one. Is there a food from your childhood that you hated, but now as an adult you love it, or you like it?
Let's see now. I mean, there's definitely certain things that I've sort of forced myself to eat and then kind of grown accustomed to. So like, I would not go near avocado. I think I still kind of think it looks like vomit of some sort, but it's actually not bad.
Yeah.
What else? There was water chestnuts in like Chinese food. I love Chinese food, but the water chestnuts and the bamboo shoots had an awkward texture to them.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I wasn't too much into them, but growing up, I started eating through them rather than picking them out, and I'm like, all right, these are good.
Yeah. I love water chestnuts, man.
Yeah.
Even when I was a little kid, I pretended like they were from another planet. No, you know, it's like, yeah, I was one of those. Anyway, all right. So, all right, if you could describe your family with one word, what would you use?
I guess a bit disjointed. My my mom and my biological mom and dad, divorced shortly after I was born, and my mom remarried. So there's always been a bit of a distance on my dad's side, like the extended family and everything there. But I'm very, very much close with my father himself. It's just the uncles and aunts, not as much. Whereas everything else with on my mom's side and with my stepfather has been a little more tightly knit, which I guess just geographically everyone's more in our area on that side of the family, so we were able to go to family events and whatnot more often. But yeah, my dad's side not so much.
All right, so who would you say is the most influential person on you?
Most likely my dad. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of kid were you? What were you like? Were you precocious or were you well behaved?
Fairly well behaved. I was pretty. I mean, I'm still fairly introverted, so I usually kept to myself, made sure I stayed occupied, and due to medical reasons, I couldn't like play as much with other kids in like playground settings, things like that. So I usually ended up focusing on schoolwork during that time, and actually I guess I got ahead because of it, just because I worked so much on it. I was able to skip ahead in mathematics and subjects like that. So
all right, you were sickly as a kid. Is that what?
Well, as a baby, I had ear infections and stuff. I used to have tubes put in my ears,
Right.
and had immune issues. And then when I was 5, I was diagnosed with Legg-Calvé-Perthes disease, which essentially breaks down the ball of the femur bone that goes into socket. So for a good 5 years, I was on crutches while that sort of took its course and eventually regenerated part of that bone. So because of that, I wasn't able to, from like age 5 to 10, wasn't able to go out and be on the playground and do recess, things like that.
Dude, I had avascular necrosis, and that was fucking painful, man. I mean, really horribly painful. Was your hip issue really painful?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, so when the way we found out was my parents were starting to get me into karate at the time, and you have to go and limber up, do stretches and things like that, and I'd have hip pain. So we went to several doctors, and they're like, "Oh no, it's just growing pains." Well, by the 4th one, it's finally like, "No, that's not what this is." So yeah, it was pretty painful.
I can imagine.
I'd have to prop that one leg up with like a pillow, or just find certain ways of getting it more comfortable.
Right. Um, so is there a favorite holiday season or time of year that really lights you up and makes you excited, gives you excitement?
I always enjoyed Christmas. You know, you got together with family, usually had decent food, and just kind of like the spirit of it all. Plus, I like the smell of cinnamon. My go-to alcohol is Fireball, so I would say when I take a shot, it tastes like Christmas.
Dude, yeah. It'll light that breath up too, man. Light your
Yeah.
nostrils and shit. All right. So what were you like in elementary and middle school? What was that? What were you?
Like I said, I kind of kept to myself a little bit. I had a certain tightly knit group of people I would hang around, but I didn't usually go outside of that group too much. I always tried to have levity and make people laugh. Not in a distracting way, but just in most cases, if I had a good time with comedy and things like that, so it always brought a smile to my face to see other people laugh, and I think that's sort of I probably still do that now.
I thought I was gonna say I see you definitely carrying that today. So yeah, that's cool. If you could go back in time and talk to yourself at the age of 8, what would you tell little Ryan?
I would tell him to trust his intuition more. It turns out it's rarely wrong. As much as you want to fight it.
Dude, there's something to be said for the gut, man. The gut making calls. I totally concur with that assessment. But that would be a very wise thing to say to a kid, I think. What's the craziest thing you did as a kid?
Let's see now. I know something that freaked my dad out. We would often go out to woodlands and things like that. There was one area that had a cave system, and there was just this huge like hole that went downward into this cave, and my dad, my sister, and I were out there. So I go and I end up hiding behind a tree, and my dad and sister were all looking around for me, and I'm over here snickering a little bit like they can't find me. Well, they're worried I fell down into the frickin' cave, and that my body's lying there dead somewhere. So they go run off trying to search through the caves and stuff, and I come out like, where the heck did you guys go? So yeah, needless to say, I got a good scolding over that.
God, man. All right. So, what was high school like? What did?
High school wasn't too bad. Again, I had this particular group that I'm a fairly loyal friend and whatnot. So, we'd meet up in the mornings and just sort of hang out and go to lunch together. It wasn't too bad. I mostly kind of kept myself and my group, so that's didn't ruffle too many feathers or anything like that.
Right.
I had long hair for the first 3 years of high school, and then got into some business oriented programs and computers. So one of the programs was like an internship program, so I had to cut my hair off to look presentable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was overall pretty fun. Eventually, all those friends sort of went their separate ways after high school, and don't really talk to them anymore. So it is what it is. People come and go.
Right. Do you plan on going to any of the reunions?
Reunions?
Yeah.
No. Like I said, I wasn't that socially active, and I've always sort of looked at life as, you know, see how you've progressed on your own, not based on other people's success. And I've always kind of felt like reunions are these big circle jerks.
Right. That's been my experience. Well,
Yeah.
all right. So let's shift gears a little bit. What about your relationship with music? Do you have one?
Yeah, actually, let's see now. When I was in elementary school, for I think 3 years, I played violin. Then in middle school, I played the clarinet. I wanted to change it up. And then when I got to high school, I was considering, maybe joining the band, but that was a lot of. I've got asthma and whatnot, and with my hip issues, I was concerned over whether I'd be able to keep it up physically doing marching band related activities. So that was sort of the end of my classical instrument career. But I very much enjoyed it. I have an appreciation for music as a result of it, and keeping, even to this day, you get into a certain muscle memory, so you just start keeping beat with the music, tapping your foot and whatnot. So
absolutely.
It's
well, what was the first concert you ever went to?
I think first concert, Journey. My parents took me, and it was so late that I ended up falling asleep during it. But it was a good friggin' concert.
Right. Well, what's your favorite band now?
So there's a Japanese band, Hiroyuki Sawano, that I really enjoy listening to them. And even just the music itself is a lot of violin and orchestra bass. So yeah, I'll just play that and go driving.
Wow, that's kind of
Keeps
cool
me
though.
nice and relaxed.
Yeah, I do that too. I kind of set an atmosphere, and then you go drive around, think. So that's a guy thing, actually, driving and thinking.
Yeah.
What are what's your guilty pleasure musically?
Guilty pleasure music. I really enjoy. There's I like parody songs.
Oh wow.
They're really enjoyable to me, and sometimes they're more memorable than the originals. Like
Weird Al.
Weird Al's.
Yeah.
Smells Like Nirvana. Like, I know exactly what he's saying. I don't know what Nirvana's saying.
Right. I saw some people pop in here. Asherella, hey, what's happening? Nobody, not me. Greetings. Good to see you. Moonbase Radio, Groovy. Dunbeard. And I thought I saw she gone earlier. So, yeah. All right. Becca's obviously dirty looking. Because, that's what she do, man. Anyway. All right, so Describe the first time you realized you were attracted to women. Or you can like describe your first erection if you remember it. Whichever came first.
I mean, as far as being attracted to women, that's always sort of been a thing. I don't. There was never any ambiguity about it. Even when you're young and it's like, oh hey, look, there's a Sailor Moon playing, and you know you have the silhouette of her naked. Like, yeah, that's the thing right there. So it was never really into question for me. As far as my first erection, I think the earliest I can think of was basically a helicopter hit our house, so the house was under repairs and stuff. We had to live in Embassy Suites for a while, and then eventually at the set of apartments while all that was getting repaired. So the earliest I can remember was probably at that set of apartments, and you know it was just nothing particularly memorable inspired it. It just sort of happened, and it's like, oh, well, that's a thing.
Right. So you had a helicopter hit your house, man? Were you there when it happened?
Oh yeah. So no,
it is Donnie Dark at least. Man. Azarella read my mind. That's funny.
Yeah. I was with my dad at the time, so you know I'd stay with my mom and my stepfather, and for the most part, and then during weekends usually my sister and I would go and stay with my dad since he was working throughout the week. So this wasn't even his weekend, but my mom convinced him to have us because, you know, she's like, hey, they're available and we don't have anything planned. And he's like, yeah, you know, go ahead, bring them over. So we ended up going to Adventure Island, which is a swim park. And while I'm in the pool, I suddenly see my stepfather walking up, and I thought it was weird because he's not in any swim trunks or anything. It's just regular clothes, and I'm like, how'd they let you in here dressed like that? So we ended up going to the house, and I guess the night prior, some affluent individual in a small helicopter had hit the house. The propeller went and cut my bed in half, and the engine ended up falling on top of my sister's bed. So we both would have been dead had we been there that night. So my dad's always looked at it like an act of God.
I was going to ask you, what do you attribute that to? I mean, that's that kind of serendipity or synchronicity.
I attribute it to a natural 20 roll on a die.
Right?
I got lucky.
Yeah, just really, really lucky. That's crazy. All right, so what about the first time you were with a girl? What was that like?
So this was after high school. I'd graduated and everything, and one of my, so I have to go back a little bit further. During senior year, one of my friends, I would walk home with him, and stop to get some Chinese food, because even back then I loved Chinese food. And he's like, oh, when we get to my house, you'd better share with my sister or she'll kick your ass. And I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. She can have my egg roll or something. I don't care. So we go and walk into the house, and his adopted mom is there, and she's wheelchair bound and whatnot. I sit down and start eating my food, and his sister comes down the stairs, and I'm like, "Here, you want this egg roll?" So I give it over to her. So that's sort of how we met. And after high school was done and everything, I was starting to drive my vehicle, hanging out with the same friend, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go hang out with my sister?" Because she had moved out by then. So I'm like, "All right, go." And over there, this was 4th of July weekend. My parents were out of town, so they didn't know what I was up to. So we go and hang out over there. She has one of her friends, and we're just having a good time. I spend the night in her bed and whatnot, and the next morning she's like, "Hey, it's really cool that you didn't try anything last night." And I'm thinking to myself, I was supposed to try something? Oh shit. So we end up texting him, since he's downstairs, like, "Hey, you have a condom? Can you bring it up?" And that's sort of where it went from there.
Wow. So, what about the first time you got fucked up?
Fucked up? That would have been middle school. There was this guy that talked a lot of crap on the school bus and stuff. And finally, one day, I just spat at him. I'm like, "Fuck you." So, needless to say, when I got off the bus, kicked my ass. And I think my sister later went and shanked him with a knife. She had told me after finding out about it.
Crazy.
So, well, it is Florida land, so.
Florida land. That's right. Lordy. All right. So yeah, kind of. All right. Back on relationships. So, did you get in a relationship with that girl?
We did briefly, and then, just sort of drifted apart for a while. Later, ended up meeting back again. Another one of my friends had moved in with her mom. Her mom was the wheelchair-bound woman that liked to take in people if they were having problems or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'd go visit and stuff. So I ended up meeting back again, and she ended up becoming my best friend for a good 7 or 8 years after that. And then we were roommates for a while, and eventually I don't know if it's just because of this COVID thing or whatnot, money issues. She ended up stealing some money from me, moving out, and just ghosted me ever since then. I'm like, all right,
Crazy.
Tough times, whatever.
Were y'all together, like sexually, or during that time? Or
not while we were best friends,
Okay.
just early on. But afterwards, it was more like a brother-sister sort of thing.
Right. It sucks,
but
man.
it does. But it's one of those things where someone too well, their nature, and it's always been in the back of your mind, like, yeah, this could go down this road, and that would suck, but it ultimately did, and I'm like, hey, you'll have to get out of your own way sometime,
Man. So what about relationships? Have you had any like major romantic relationships?
Not particularly.
Right.
I've always been I've always been the type to sort of figure out what you're getting into first.
Right.
So, I've never done this just go out spontaneously and ask random people out. I like to get to know them first and, see if there's something actually there.
Mm.
So, the prospects have been pretty limited as far as that goes.
Yeah. And the internet, I don't know, man. Your generation has a lot tougher, I think, man.
Yeah.
Especially there's a lot of narcissism going on, so there's a lot of
chronic narcissism all around.
Right.
I think
it's really.
I think you could probably find someone decent in a small town or, someplace that isn't a big city.
No doubt. It's like, all right, so what about kids? Are you open to the idea of marriage and maybe raising children and shit?
I mean, children, yes. Marriage, I don't know, just because, there's... As a concept, it's fine, but in practice, 50% of marriages don't work out, so it's like, what's even the point? Where's the benefit for the guy at this point? To me, you're better off just kind of coming to an agreement. Hey, we're gonna stick this out, and we're through hell or high water, we'll make it work. But I don't like the government's appropriation of marriage from like the religious system.
Yeah.
Because it's always been a religious union. I'd rather they have just renamed it something else, civil union, what have you.
Right.
And just had the legalities thrown in there wherever they needed to go. So it's kind of lost a bit of its meaning through that.
That's interesting. I'm kind of thinking about what you're saying here. All right, so let's shift gears and move on to like media and things, tastes. What's your favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie? I enjoy the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Right.
And even as it goes on and steers a little bit away from the scare aspect and more into the campiness, it's just very, very originality in the way that they get the kills off and things like that. So I like the creativity there.
So what did you think about the remake of the first one with Jackie Earle Haley?
So one of the things that sort of irked me about it is that they, instead of being a child killer, they tried to make him like a pedo.
Well, he was. Kids. Yeah, he was molesting and murdering children. That's the whole deal. I don't know. I thought it was a more true to the it was like there was always this like tongue-in-cheek aspect, and that's Craven, man. And I think that the remake is a solid film for what it is. I wouldn't. Oh, I guess you have to link it to the franchise, but I think it's a completely different animal.
Yeah, it's not like I won't watch it or anything. It's just I think trying to capture the charisma of the original actor. I'm drawing a blank for some reason.
Robert Englund.
Freddy. Robert Englund.
Yeah.
Trying to capture his charisma and everything. That's that's kind of like lightning in a bottle. I'm not sure you're gonna find someone that's gonna be able to replicate
He
that,
was
and when you
excellent.
do, it's
Yeah,
gonna
no
feel.
doubt. Yeah. Totally, man. I totally agree with that. You know, um, uh, yeah. Jackie Earle Haley was a good fit though for that remake.
Yeah,
He's a very underrated actor, man. He's great in The Watchmen. It's like
yeah,
one of my
Rorschach.
favorite. Yeah, Rorschach's one of my favorite characters. Right, what about horror directors? Do you have a favorite director?
Um, not particularly. I don't follow the directors as much.
Mm-hmm.
In At least not in the horror genre. I usually look at each individual piece
Mm-hmm.
and whether I like it or not.
All right. So, what about sci-fi? Do you have a favorite science fiction movie?
Oh,
Hey, Michael.
I like a great deal of sci-fi. I don't know that I have a specific favorite. Um, I do like rewatching. I guess if that's the basis you can go off of, I like rewatching Evolution. It's a sci-fi comedy with
Yeah.
aliens and stuff.
Yeah. I know exactly
I
what
just
you're talking about. Yeah, it's really good. I like that, man. It's a funny movie. It's good. Yeah. What about? Do you read science fiction? What do you read? What do you like reading?
I'm not much into reading. I've got like comic books and stuff. That's about as much reading. I've always been more of a visual uh, appealed
And what's
person.
your favorite comic?
So
That's reading.
um, I've
Co-
got quite a bit of Batman. I enjoy Green Lantern as well. It really depends on the individual stories. I've come to really enjoy the Injustice DC comics,
Mm.
um, based off of the video games, but they divert from that story, the storyline from the video games a little bit.
Whoa, hold on a second. Got two donations from Bullwinkle. $25. Beer all around. Beer for everyone. All right. Pour you one. And another $25. Thank you so much, Mr. Bullwinkle. You're awesome. You might get paid twice. in which good case for you. I sent one at start, man. Sorry about that. I it usually goes off and tells me, man, but it's been, I don't know, slabs is weird. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sorry to interrupt you, Ryan. But
Nah, you're
hey,
good.
yeah, give credit where credit's due, and thank the lucky stars.
Yeah, drink to that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. The moving fund is going up, so, and I really appreciate it. Remember, we're moving at the end of September, so we ain't got to buy a new water heater anyway. So right, so we talked about science fiction. What about all right? So what about video games? What's your favorite video game? What really do you like?
I grew up with the Pokemon games. I stayed up with it up until, gosh, not sort of Sun. I think Sun and Moon versions. So well into my adult years. The most recent ones, it looks like they really just figured, hey, we're raking in the money. We're gonna half-ass this one. So that and the fact that the Switch is like a $300 system, I'm like, no, I've got other stuff I can spend that money on and be perfectly content.
Right. Let's see. Is there something that you've dreamed of doing for a long time, and what's kept you from doing it?
I think I would have liked to have gone into biology. Most of the thing that's kept me from that has been money, you know. And that and just the current state of the education system, the college and whatnot. I
Tell me
don't
about it.
I don't care for the the unnecessary classes you have to take, because that's just extra money right there, and I don't like all of the ideological BS that's gone around. But you know, it is what it is. It's one of these things that, you know, until the landscape actually changes, you're probably going to have to deal with that if you want to acquire whatever education you're really trying to look for.
Right. Man. All right. So, do you have any pets?
Currently, I have a cat named Houdini.
All right. If you could ask, Houdini to answer one question and only get one answer, what would you ask Houdini? That's actually a good question.
It is. I'd probably ask him why he keeps trying to hump these kittens that are at my dad's.
That's funny,
it's like,
man.
Dude, you can't get anything out of that. They're not even old enough.
Holy moly, loud. So you're saying your cat's a pedo?
Yeah,
in a way. I'm just. Oh man! All right, so we're getting back to aesthetics. What about TV? What's the best TV series in your opinion ever?
I don't know about best, but I really enjoyed it was a BBC series called Primeval. Where they had these portals, like time portals that would pop up, and creatures from throughout time would just sort of wander their way through, and you had a specialized team that had to try to capture them, send them back, things like that. They were all about trying to conserve the species.
What's the name of that again? It sounds like I would like that shit. Primeval.
Yeah, and what was cool is that later they introduced a creature that was in from a dystopian future that came back in time, and it was kind of like this weird, kind of shaped like a gorilla, but it was able to climb on ceilings and walls and stuff. It was pretty neat. So
if Grodd was Spider-Man, that's what it would.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not a huge DC fan, but certain characters, I love Grodd, and I love the ape, the little chimpanzee detective guy. I don't know his name, man, but yeah, it's every time I've read the stuff with him in it, I've loved it, and I do like Vertigo.
Yeah,
and that's all DC. So, but
yeah, I've got a Hellblazer book around here that I haven't had the chance to read yet.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of Hellblazers, Sandman. I've got the whole run of all that stuff. Pretty much, it came out at that point. It was jamming, dude. All right. What about? All right. So we kind of touched on this slightly, but what was your favorite anime series?
I mean, most likely Gundam. That's been it's been a part of my childhood. I build the Gunpla models all the time. So that's always really stuck with me. They've had several series throughout the franchise, but overall, that's been a really really influential part of my life. As far as probably the best one I've seen, just in terms of quality overall, Your Lie in April. That leans more into the musical side, and even whether you're watching the dub or the sub, they're both excellent in terms of quality. So
yeah, it's interesting to watch some of that stuff like on when I had Netflix. You could see the translation. You know, the dub and the translation were like slightly different, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So it's because Japanese is really a difficult language to, you know, to pin down, because one thing can mean two things, you know.
yeah.
So what about, do you have a favorite anime character?
Favorite character. I don't know that I have a favorite character per se.
Okay. Well, so
I
you
usually just enjoy the stories themselves and where they lead to.
Well, so let's talk about gunplay for a minute, man, because you know I'm into that. I am a big fan. I do more like historical modeling, but I do do Mackay, which is machining Krieger, which is a very niche, you know, powered suit universe, you know. And but what's your favorite? What's the favorite model you've built? What's the biggest model you built?
The biggest one, I'd say, is probably the Master Grade Strike Freedom. I got the full blast set for Christmas one year, and it came with the stand and all the effect pieces and whatnot. So that's probably the largest one I've done of Gundam. And then I've also I like Zoids, so I've done the Kotobukiya, some of the Zoid kits. The largest one I've done so far is probably the Blade Liger, the van custom version. So
that's interesting because, all right, some of the Mackay stuff is, well, it's all kit bashes, all right, that the guy put together, and there were photographs instead of a comic book where they had, you know, drawings. It was photographs that they would use, and he would put these together, and he used Zoids a lot. You know, it was like he had access to like thousands of model kits, man, and built these incredible pieces though. So it's pretty, you know, I'm thinking, to be honest, I'm thinking about doing a show on this channel about my hobby, which would be fun to do, because I've got a 16 scale T-34 when I build, and then of course my K stuff, man. So I don't know. Would you watch it?
Oh yeah, I'd watch it.
All right, cool. Well, cool. And you know, anyway, let's cut back to you, because this show's about you, man. All right. Do you have any scars, tattoos?
Yeah, I have a
piercings.
On my back. I have a tattoo with my my former best friend. She has it on her arm. It's two penguins that are like snuggled up together, so they're making like a heart. And I didn't pay for it. I'm like, hey, if it's free, whatever. I don't give a crap. Just put it somewhere where it's not going to be widely visible, because I have to get to work. So we both have that tattoo, and it was kind of representative of us. We were very tightly niched for such a long time, but you know, that turned out not the best. As far as scars go, I've got a slight bald spot on the side of my head. My hair usually covers it now, as long as I keep it cut a certain way. That was from when I was a baby. I rolled off a waterbed and fractured my skull.
Yikes.
Yeah, so my mom had me on the waterbed, but they put pillows on the along the rim,
Right.
so that I wouldn't fall off. Well, a couple of my uncles, I guess they were teenagers at the time. They went and took the pillows and had a pillow fight. So, obviously, things did not go as planned with that.
Dude. Man, so all right, so why is it a bald spot though? Is it
it's just it's a scar, so the hair doesn't grow there.
how big is it?
I'd say, let me see.
Is it straight? Is it round? Is it,
No, it's kind of straight. It's about as wide as, maybe to the second knuckle on my index finger, about that wide. So
Damn.
but
So-
the hair covers it, so it's not a big deal. I just have to mention it to my barbers whenever I go by. I'm like, hey, don't worry, you didn't mess anything up. That's there.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool, man. Do you have any piercings?
No piercings. Let's see now. I've got some other scars on my left hand, my wrist. On the top side, I've got a little bit of a scar from at my grandmother's. There was a treadmill, and my parents were in the other room, so of course I was curious and I turned the treadmill on. Well, it flew me back, and my hand went under the treadmill.
Oh,
And yeah, it went and burned some of the skin off. And I was so worried that they were going to find out. I wasn't worried about the pain or anything. I was just like hiding my wrist, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?"
and what's that greasy spot in the middle of the belt? Right, man. Well, that's kind of wacky. All right, so here's another kind of a heady question. In 40 years, I don't know if it's heady really, but in 40 years, what do you think people will be nostalgic for?
40 years from now, geez. They'll be nostalgic for staying at home and being away from people.
What's the most useless talent you have?
I know a little bit of bow staff skills and some tricks with the sword.
Like, can you spin it around and shit?
Yeah, I do it for enjoyment's sake, or if I go out hiking with my dad, I'll usually do that.
It's like, looks cool, man. Like, to be honest, it's like every time I see it done, like Uzi and I have been watching Game of Thrones again, and every time these dudes like wield the sword and do the sword play, man, I was like, man, that looks cool. I really would love to be able to do that. And and I know it's just practice, but hey, I'm not that coordinated. I'm more coordinated now than I used to be, dude. I was not a coordinated.
To be honest, it's mostly muscle memory. As long as you get the right form while you're doing it, and just keep at it, it becomes sort of second nature.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even realize you're doing it. So,
all right. So, if you could know the absolute and total truth in one question, what would that be? Not from your cat.
Yeah. Definitely not. Hmm. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I've never really given that much thought.
Well, how about this? All right. What about, do you have any strange collections? Becca.
I have several like stones and gems and things like that. Right now I've got a good little pile of garnet stones piled
Nice.
away.
Uncut?
They're polished a little bit, but they're not like gem grade or anything. They look like nuggets almost. So they're a little bit of a balance between that raw sort of just rock look, but they still have some shimmer to them. Recently I've gotten into labradorite, collecting some of that, which has a sheen almost like fish scales, how they sort of sheen in the light. So I kind of like that stone. And then I also got a tiger's eye that's shaped in like a unicorn shape, so that's sitting on the mantle somewhere. It looks pretty cool.
Cool.
Also, growing up, I like to get figurines, pewter figurines, like fantasy stuff. So I have a few dragons, a phoenix, like a little orc with armor on it. So I don't collect those too much anymore, just because they're difficult to find.
Right. All right, so if you could go back in time and spend a week with anybody, who would it be and why? Hey, Skip. Yoda.
Probably my abuela on my stepfather's side of the family. The last time I'd gone on a little vacation with her and my cousin to what was it? SeaWorld. And that was the last time I saw her. She had left to go visit some other family immediately after that, and while she was away, her heart ended up stopping, and they just didn't get to her in time. So I'd like to probably spend another week with her.
That's awesome. So what job would you really be terrible at?
Terrible at probably a police officer. I hate the hypocrisy and all of the flaws in the system.
All right, so what would you say is your spirit animal?
I'd say a bear.
Nice. I claim the same. So yes. All right. So this is the point where I do what's called the Lipton questions, named after James Lipton, of course, the host of Inside the Actor Studio, a fantastic series that's available on YouTube if you want to check it out. That dude is a big influence on me, but I just wanted to ask questions. And during every show, he would always ask everybody from Robert De Niro, on down to Taya Leone, or I can't remember somebody else. Just thought everybody would get these set of questions, right? And it's the kind of idea is to kind of have like a rapid fire kind of deal, right? Where you say the first thing that comes into your mind. What's your favorite word?
I kind of like the word tart
Nice.
right now.
I like it too. That's good. Like it. What's your least favorite word?
Moist.
Moist. It is
It gives you an unsettling feeling.
Moist. That's correct. I agree. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally? Get you fired up.
I'd say certain music. It just gets the brain flowing and the imagination working.
Yeah. What turns you off?
Turns me off. It's just weak-willed people.
What is your favorite curse word?
I guess dickhead, just because I can hear Johnny saying it, and it just pops into my head.
Nice. All right. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise? Kind of like a triangle. Just the simple ding.
Yeah.
On a triangle.
he's talking about an orchestral triangle, right?
Yeah.
Percussive instrument. What sound or noise do you hate?
I hate the sound of my phone, and that's mostly because I spent the last nearly a year just hating the fact that my phone would go off, and I'd have to answer it for my job at all hours of the night, and you may only have gotten 2 or 3 hours of sleep, but it goes off. Hey, we need you to go here.
No.
All right. Yeah, no, it was or have to. I'd be on call and have to respond to security officers' problems, and sometimes it'd be something simple. Hey, what's the code to this? All right, give me a minute. Let me look it up. And sometimes I'd have to walk them through something and be half dazed. I'm like,
I know, man. You probably fucking hate that. I hated it too, man. Or what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd like to become a herpetologist.
Nice.
Get into reptiles, and
nice.
I've always enjoyed just learning about different species, and sometimes handling them. I was working security at a facility one day, and out back they've got some swampland that I guess they own the property too, but they just keep it locked away. But the gator had managed to get in, and it was between a tree and the fence line, because they kind of cut out the fence to go around the tree. So there's a bunch of workers back there. I'm like, okay, everyone's looking around. Someone's going to get hurt if this thing decides to move. We tried calling animal control. They wouldn't have been able to come out for another several hours, just with how early it was. So I'm like, all right, let me grab one of these sticks, and I'm just going to lead it down the fence line to where the gate opens and have it go back there. So I did that and lock it up, which isn't particularly legal, but for the sake of safety and simplicity, it's what ended up happening. So,
So, all right, what profession would you not like to do? You kind of said policeman earlier, but is there anything else?
that's probably that, or being the guy that euthanizes animals,
Ooh, yeah.
or for like the city or whatever.
Mm.
I'd hate to do that job.
No shit, dude. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
It is not yet your time, my son. Go back.
Oh, nice little curveball there. All right, chat. So it's time to queue up your questions. Throw them in the chat. All right, and I'm gonna talk to Ryan a little bit longer. So wait for you guys to interject your interrogatives. Please do. We desire that. Who would you say right now is a criminally undersubscribed YouTuber, and they would like to promote someone?
Let me see. Is Toya in the chat right now?
Yeah.
Everyone sub to Toya. Toya does good video game streams. I like the ones with her and Tim. Those are really entertaining.
Mm. Excuse me, I was taking a drink. Sorry. All right, so we got some questions rolling in here. All right, whoa, people, Jesus. They wanted to load you up, son. All right, Ryan Walters, I have a two-part question. Who is y'all's favorite guest on NO 2.0, and why is it me? James Colley asked.
Favorite guest? I always like when Shio comes on. He always one ups me on the jokes and goes to places that I won't.
No shit.
James is cool too.
What do you think about the pregnant man emoji that just came out?
Wait, what?
the pregnant man emoji, man. He threw that, was talking about that. It's funny. All right, so just put that on the back burner if you don't know anything about it. Check it out. It's funny as shit. Becca asks you, a cabin in the woods or a fantastic beach house?
Cabin in the woods. I don't care for the beach all that much.
That's the opposite of what Becca's answer is, obviously. she had a ball in the mountains. Didn't you, Becca? All right, let's see. All right. Of course, Madness interjects here. What do you think of Barbara from the channels Barbara for You to See, Barbara for You to Relax, Barbara 2.0, and the Barbara Horvat?
I don't think I've ever been to those channels, so I don't have an opinion.
Nice. Madness, it's always cool that you want to promote her during this show because I really like her too. I would love to get her on this show. But yeah, she's a very funny Slovenian girl who has just a really cool little take. I like her. I like her vibe, man. She's just funny. I like, John Belushi said women aren't funny, and there's only a few that I really think that are funny, and she's one of them for sure. But I'm not dissing on females, it's just that those female comedians suck. Have you ever been given has he ever given it a hard pull while driving down the highway? Johnny Bonsacco wants to know. You never jerk the gherkin while you was heading down the highway?
No, I'm a safe driver.
Azrael wants to know, do you know a giant scary bunny rabbit named Frank? Donnie Darko reference.
Yeah, I got that.
Right? What would you say is a great hiding place? Prison wallet, maybe?
I don't know. It worked for the Jews.
You got an answer?
Good hiding place. Probably if you found a tree that was hollow, probably hide out pretty well in there.
Nice. All right, Mr. Moo wants to know, how are you more innocent than Shio?
I don't send butt cereal to people in their DMs.
Interesting. Butt cereal. Translate that into boomer.
It's just a picture of someone's stretched asshole and milk and cereal in there.
Oh, Lordy. All right.
It is a sight to see.
Some questions you should not ask, IRATE. And I'm powerless. I have to ask them. All right. Mary, fuck, or Minecraft? Copper Cab, Scary Cheese, Vouch. Bosh.
Minecraft them all.
Oh. Let's see. Becca's not going to pet no danger noodles. You know that. What is the most disgusting thing you have ever done?
Most disgusting thing I've ever done? I don't know. I used to pick my boogers and put it under the table as a kid.
That works. The Night Avatar, where is that from? Check Your Logic wants to know.
The Night Avatar? Which one? Oh, the
Knigget
the
Night.
Helmet of Fate. He's probably talking about the Helmet of Fate. That's
that's Dr. Fate.
Helmet of Naboo, Dr. Fate.
It's Dr. Fate. I know that shit.
DC Comics.
Gunbox. Oh, Lordy. All right, so it looks like we got any more Eufio, or Eufio? That Gunsky wants to know.
Eufio, or Eufio? Eufio with a capital P.
Eufio with a capital P.
There we go.
All right. All right, so we're at this part. So anything else that comes up, let's see. What's the speed of an unladen sparrow? Not swallow.
That's from Monty Python, and I don't know the answer.
All right, best cult. All Hail Blue Whale, Lollipop Guild, or the Eufios?
None of the cults.
No?
Also, Eufio's not a cult.
There's a great band called The Cult. I recommend it. Was it Swallow? Was it Swallow?
Was it Swallow?
I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with that one. All right, so who would you say? All right, so we asked you, criminally undersubscribed. You said Toya. How about a YouTuber that's way overhyped, and you don't get them? You don't get why they're where they're at.
Overhyped. I guess Ghastly a little. Like he's okay, but the fact that you have near cult status, that's a bit out there for me.
Yeah. Well, he came up with every bit of that lore too. It's good stuff. I think very creative.
I mean, hats off to him for that. But
all right, Madness wants to know kitties or doggies.
Right now I'd say kitties. I had to go and look after a couple grown up puppies, I guess you'd call them. They're not real small. They're about, medium grown up.
Right.
But they just too much energy and throwing all their weight on me. And I'm like, get off.
Well, so what will finally break the internet?
Probably an EMP.
Ooh. How much blubber do you have in your closet?
Blubber?
Yeah, that's Mr. Moo asking that.
Oh, blubber, none.
Nice. All right. Do you have anything new content-wise that you have in the works that you want to promote here? Because we're kind of at the end of the line. Damn. That was fast.
Oh, I just hop on to streams from time to time. The most recent one, I think, was Lieutenant Vanishers. He was doing a test stream, so I went ahead and hopped on there to see how it went. I'm usually on Mr. Moo and Johnny Monsaco's streams.
I wasn't able to make it on that one, and I sent Vanisher an apology. I wanted to be on that too. I always like hanging out with you guys. It's fun. You make me laugh just a wee bit there. All right, so you've got Mr. Moo and Johnny Monsaco's channels posted in the description. All right, I recommend you subscribe to them. I'll put your Twitter in. I didn't know you had a Twitter.
I got it recently because Becca was on vacation and Johnny's always slow to do anything technically advanced. So I'm like, all right, I'll send you the link. I went and managed to make the Twitter before he even got things up and running. So,
all right. Well, I'll pop that in when we're done. All right. So, who do you want to show? The floor is yours. We're gonna go back into the foyer, as I call it, and where things.
I'd say go ahead and show the original Shroom and Toya. Both of them, they've got decent entertainment. Shroom usually in the mornings around, I don't know, what is it? It's usually around 10 or 11 for me. He does his streams and they're pretty enjoyable.
Fantastic. And I guess, man, with that said, we've run out of questions. The chat's run out of questions. I've run out of questions. Man, well, I guess it's time to wrap it and call it a show, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that sits in your chair, the chair you're sitting in right now, Ryan, because that you're the people that make the show. All right. I'm just here to ask questions and try not to look like a complete moron. I didn't boomer anything yet, so I just might have just jinxed myself. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Lieutenant Vanisher. But yes, it's been a great group today. Excuse me. And I guess maybe some stuff going on later on tonight. Next week, okay. If you're familiar with Adonis Paul, you'll know who Aunt Kathy is, or Virgie, either one of those guys. Virgie hooked me up, but Aunt Kathy will be in the chair next week, and it should be a hoot. All right, I predict a hoot is going to happen this time next week, so we're going to have fun. And on that note, Ryan, I'm ready to say goodbye and let's get out of here. How about you?
Sounds good. Bye, guys.